Listen-only mode.
Good morning, friends, and warm welcome on Sunday morning. We all are gathered here to take the knowledge from our expert, CA Ramesh Prabhu sir and CA Aditya Zantye. We welcome you both the faculty. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation. And our today's topic is recent changes in certificate and audit forms under MahaRERA. So, friends, we always try that whatever changes come in our profession or as an government bring any changes or any amendment, we'll try to organize the webinar at the earliest so that all the professional can be have immediate knowledge on the topic and all the discussion can be made and any doubt or any ambiguity can be solved and a maximum benefit can be taken by the our professionals. So friends, before I start, I would like to make a few announcements. On budget day, we have a session immediately on a first itself at a 6 o'clock analysis of Union Budget 2022. So, would like to request everyone to join for that session. It's we have a renowned panelist with us. They will speak as in not a panel discussion, but they will take a session, a small session. We have a first panelist, Rajesh Mehtaji from Indore, who is a very renowned chartered accountant from Indore and core group member of AIFTP. We have a Chief Justice, Sir C. Vinit Kothari, sir, a former acting Chief Justice of Gujarat High Court. He is delivering the budget in a summary form, bring out all the important highlights. We have a C. A Naveen Khariwalji from Bangalore, who will take the clause by clause analysis on direct taxes. So would like to request everyone to join for that session. On 3rd February, almost same time, 5:30, we have a session on impact of budget on capital market by Sandeep Jain ji, who is a very fame at Jain Sahib Ke James in Z business. So we have a few other also webinar lined up for the benefit of all our fraternity. So would like to request everyone to be in touch with us and on social media so that you can have a information about our webinars. Friends, today we have witnessing a 30th January Punya Tithi of our beloved father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi ji. So we remember his contribution for our nation as well. And now would like to come back to our today's session. We would like to introduce first our renowned guest speaker, CA Ramesh Prabhu sir. Ramesh Prabhu sir not require any introduction. Sir is very famous in our fraternity. Still, as in part of formality, would like to introduce sir. Sir is a chairman of Mahaseva, Maharashtra Society Welfare Association, since last so many years, around 20 plus years. Sir is also a director at Prabhu Associate Consultant Private Limited. Sir is taking session at number of places, and there is a sir is a author as well. Huge list of achievement with the sir. Sir is also invited by Rashtrapati at Rashtrapati Bhavan, also Governor of Maharashtra in the past. So we all have witnessed that sir's contribution to our profession over the years. We very well thank you, sir, for the your contribution. And today with sir, we have a young and very dynamic C. Aditya Zantye. He is um, doing the contribution since the last so many. I mean, he's very young and dynamic and trying to do something new every time. He is at present treasurer as well at Rera Practitioners Welfare Association from last 6 months. He is a managing partner at Accord and Company and also a managing partner at Zantye and Company. He has also taken number of sessions for our WRC and many other forum as well. Recently, he got president of ICI, CNER Lambusaria sir has announced his name for in the international conference for two of the prizes as an quiz winner. One of the uh, one of the his achievement is he's a winner of the quiz and also he's a team we can say a team point leader basically. in the highest point he has acquired in the international conference. So congratulations Aditya bhai for this wonderful achievement what you have made recently, and our today's speaker as well. So we welcome both the attendees, and first would like to request CA Ramesh Prabhu sir to take the proceeding for our today's session. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Virag Shah. And of course, my guest speaker, CA Aditya Zantye. Of course, he will take you through in detail the latest provision changes made in form number 1, 2, 2A, 3, 4, and 5. These are all critical forms which are used for the purpose of either withdrawing from the Rera designated account, which is a separate Rera account wherein 70% of money is deposited, and also the annual audit which is carried out. Secondly, the what is known as the overall quality assurance through a certificate issued by the engineer. Now, all these certain changes have been made, their frequency has been changed, and most importantly, they're also made as a public document. Of course, he will take you through in detail, but before he takes it, I also think that it is very important for us to know some of the latest development in the Rera. Now, since 2017, we are in 2022, which means nearly we are completing 5 years. In the 5 years of journey, lot of changes have happened. Nearly every states, whatever the Rera authorities have been set up and the appellate tribunals have been set up, under each provisions of the act, some or the other laws have been or the decisions have been taken, circulars have been issued, which have got challenged in the respective high courts, and some of them also got challenged in the Honorable Supreme Court. Now, what I would do right away is there were 5 main issues which was bothering the across India, the Rera as well as appellate tribunal. And all these 5 issues now have been addressed by the Honorable Supreme Court in the case of New Tech Promoters and Developers Private Limited versus State of UP and others, dated 11th November 2021. What are the important aspects in this? As I said, there were 5 main issues which were addressed. The first issue is whether Rera is a retrospective or retroactive in operation. Now, Supreme Court has held that there are 2 aspects. One is retrospective effect and another is a retroactive in operation. What is this retrospective or retroactive? The projects where the completion certificate or the occupation certificate is obtained under section 3 subsection 2, of course they are not required to be registered if they are been obtained prior to the commencement of the act. The act has been commenced on 1st May 2017. So any project where the completion certificate or an occupation certificate has been obtained prior to 1st May 2017, they do not require registration. If they do not require registration, it also means that they are not covered under the Rera. Now, what is covered under Rera? Rera, 2 aspects are covered. One, the project which is going to be started after 1st May 2017. Naturally, they are the new projects. They will be covered under the Rera. They require to be registered under Rera. So they will have a prospective effect. But there are certain projects which are ongoing project. What do you mean by ongoing project? The Supreme Court in the case of New Tech Promoters and Developers Private Limited, it has clearly held where there is no completion certificate or where there is no occupation certificate, that can be called as the projects which are incomplete. Unless until there is a completion certificate, it cannot be called as a project completed. Therefore, the projects which are not having a completion certificate or the project where the development is going on, they are required to be getting registered with Rera. If they are required to be registered with Rera, the immediate aspect is once it gets registered with Rera, it will have retroactive effect. What do you mean by retroactive effect? Retroactive effect means the projects which are ongoing, which are going to be completed, where the completion certificate is not obtained, they are required to be registered under Rera. The moment it is registered under Rera, all the provisions of the Rera will be applicable from the date of commencement of that project. That project must have been commenced about 10 years back, but because they are ongoing project, they will have retroactive effect. This is not what I am saying. It is which has been held by the Honorable High Court in the case of Nilkamal Realtors, a celebrated judgment on 6th December 2017. The same has been now upheld by the Supreme Court. So as a provision or the issue number 1. Now, therefore, now what is going to happen is the projects which do not have the completion certificate, as far as Maharashtra is concerned, they were not getting registered. Now, if you have any projects where there is no completion certificate, there is no occupation certificate, people can still file a complaint under the source complaint, and based on this Supreme Court judgment, the MahaRERA will have to, or any RERA authority will have to direct those projects to be registered, and thereafter it can have a retroactive effect and all the grievances can be addressed. Now, the second most important is issue number 2, whether the regulatory authority has the jurisdiction to direct return or refund of the amount to the allottee under section 12, 14, 18, 19 of the RERA, whether the jurisdiction exclusively stays with the adjudicating officer under section 71 of the same. Now, what has happened, the RERA at a lower authority has created 2 jurisdictions, which can be called as a parallel jurisdiction. One is of the adjudicating officer, another is about the regulatory authority. Now, the question arises before the Honorable Supreme Court. Section 12, 14, 18, 19, there are the 4 sections wherein the amount of refund and the compensation and the interest, all 3 are included. Now, the question arises whether under section 12, where there is a adversity of the advertisement, or section 14, change of the plan, section 18, delay in the position, section 19, of course, delay in receiving the position of the flat or handing over the position of the flat, the rights and duties of the allottees. All this, when there is a compensation to be awarded, naturally that compensation, only compensation will be decided by the adjudicating officer, but rest of the things regarding the refund and the interest, the exclusive jurisdiction will be with the regulatory authority, which means the regulatory authority will have all the powers under all the 92 sections of the Act. Only thing is, in order to decide a compensation, and if the authority decides that it requires determination of the compensation, then the complaint can be transferred to the adjudicating officer, and then the adjudicating officer under section 71 will be in a position to, read with section 72, will be in a position to determine the compensation. So the determination of compensation is only with the adjudicating officer. Now, the third question arises, or the issue arises before the Honorable Supreme Court, is whether section 81 of the Act allows the authority to delegate its powers to a single member of the authority to hear the complaints filed under section 31 of the Act. Section 31 of the Act says any aggrieved person, includes a promoter, allottee, agent, or any other third party who is aggrieved either with the promoter or the allottee or with the estate agent, can file a complaint under section 31. Now, the section 31 provides again 2 authorities, either authority that is a RERA, or the second one is the adjudicating officer. You can file a complaint any of the one now, or both of them. Now, I have discussed earlier in issue number 2, yes, if you want to have the refund, interest, or any other grievances, then the authority is the jurisdiction, and if you have compensation, then the same will be referred to the adjudicating officer. Now, this, what happened was, in the across India, the RERA, and by using section 81 or by through a regulation, they were delegating all the grievances which was filed before the authority to a single member of the authority. Now, this was a challenge because Punjab Haryana High Court, rightly or wrongly, they held that authority means it consists of more than 3 members, or rather 3 members, chairman with the 2 members. So section 29 provides that the authority means there has to be minimum 3 people, and therefore the single member cannot discuss and decide the provisions related to the what is known as provisions related to the grievances. Now, similar ruling was taken by UP High Court and various other high courts, and therefore the matter came before the Honorable Supreme Court whether a single member in the Rera authority can decide the grievances. The Honorable Supreme Court held that yes, Section 81 gives the power to the regulatory authority to delegate the powers, and therefore this is within the ambit of the law and single member can decide. And because of this, lot of reliefs are now there with the authorities, and lot of complaints are now getting addressed systematically. Otherwise, many authorities used to sit 2 or 3 people together and used to decide. Now the disposal rates also have gone up. Now, issue number 4 before the Supreme Court was whether the condition of pre-deposit under provision to Section 43(5) of the Act for entertaining substantial right of appeal is sustainable in law. What is this issue number 4? In this judgment, the UP High Court and of course Lucknow High Court and other high courts have held that in order to, and of course the appellate tribunal also held in many cases, in order to hear the appeal filed by the promoter, provision to Section 43(5) says that the promoter shall deposit 100% of the money which is payable to the allottee and also the 100% of the interest payable, and any amount related to 30% or more of the penalty should be deposited before the appeal is heard. This was debated, discussed, and contrary judgments have been passed by different, appellate tribunal, including Mumbai used to, our Maharashtra Real Estate Appellate Tribunal used to allow anywhere between 30 to 50% as the deposit and used to admit the appeal. However, when the matter came before the Supreme Court, whether it is unconstitutional, Supreme Court said it is not unconstitutional because the money which has been deposited by the allottee anyhow belongs to the allottee, and if he wants to challenge that which has been passed by the Rera, then he has to deposit 100% of the money and 100% of the interest, and it is not ultra virus. So this way, it is not giving away or it contravenes any of the Article 40(19) of the Constitution. So this way, now what is happening, if a promoter wants to file an appeal before the Maharashtra Real Estate Appellate Tribunal or under the any appellate tribunal, they will have to deposit 100% of the money paid by the allottee and the interest which has been allowed by the authority or the adjudicating officer before any appeal is heard. And therefore, the appeal which normally need to be filed by the, or they wanted to file by the promoter, the numbers have reduced. Issue number 5, whether the authority has the power to issue recovery certificate for recovery of principal amount under Section 41 of the Act. Now, what happened is, once the orders is passed by the authority or adjudicating officer or the appellate tribunal, naturally the people do not implement the order. And if the person against whom the orders have been issued, and if it is not implemented, especially the promoter, naturally the question of recovery arises. And in order to recover the amount, Section 40 subsection 1 of the Rera says that the matter will be referred to the district collector and it will be recovered as a arrears of land revenue. Now the wordings of the Section 40 subsection 1 was talking about recovery of the amount, interest, compensation and penalty. It was saying the interest, compensation and penalty. There was nothing called principal amount written in that Section 40 subsection 1. So therefore, the matter came before the Supreme Court whether the principal amount which is due can be recovered under Section 40 subsection 1. The Supreme Court held that we will have to see the construction and the scheme of the Act. And when you look at the construction and the scheme of the Act, it has to be, once the orders are passed, it has to be recovered. And therefore, even if the word principal amount is not written, it is very well understood and it has to be implied that principal amount also can be recovered as a arrears of land and revenue. And that is how the Supreme Court has held. So these are the 5 issues, very important issues, which was bothering across India, has been now settled by the Supreme Court. Now let me come to the MahaRERA. Now the MahaRERA, there are 2 or 3 important circulars. I will just refer them, and that will give you some views as to what I am talking about. So let me start with the first circular, which is nothing but it was done on 22nd December 2021, which has been gazetted. Now today the entire session which my co-speaker Mr. Aditya is going to take up is nothing but it is related to form number 1, 2, 3, 2A, 3 and 4. All these forms have been modified, and what are the modifications done? Why this has been done? So this has been made as an amendment to the Maharashtra Real Estate Regulation and Development and General Amendment Regulations. So this has been amendment has been done to the what is known as regulations. So therefore, these regulations are called Maharashtra Real Estate Regulatory Authority General Amendment Regulation 2021. It has come into effect from 22nd December 2021. Therefore, any forms which we are going to sign, whether it is 1, 2, 3, 2A or 4 and 5, all will have to be in sync with the latest amendment which is carried on effective from 22nd December 2021. Similarly, circular number 39, which is very important, which was issued on 28th of December 2021. Submission of certificates of scheduled bank for operating the separate account and copies thereof to MahaRERA authority. Very importantly, now the form number 3, 1, 2, 3, which are issued for the purpose of withdrawing the money from the Rera district account, which was earlier required to be, kept with the promoter. They were not required to be submitted to the bank. Now this particular circular, which of course Aditya will explain further, 28 December 2021, circular number 39 of 2021, which clearly says that at the time of withdrawal of the money, the same should be submitted to the bank, very important. And secondly, it also need to be submitted to the authority, which means now the authority will be aware on quarterly basis the form number 3, 1, 2, 3, which are issued. Similarly, we will go with the circular number 30, which is again one more alarming circular, which is circular number 40 of 2022, dated 14th January 2022. Disclosure of information in the public domain. Now one has to be very careful that all the forms number 1, 2, 3, as well as form number 5 and 4, all these forms which are given at the time of registration, 1, 2 and 3 of course, which are given at the time of registration of the project, and thereafter form number 4, which is completion certificate issued by the architect, and form number 5, which is an annual audit report submitted by a chartered accountant. All this now will be available on the public domain, and it has been considered as effective from 22nd December 2021. Now, when as a chartered accountant, when we are issuing form number 3 or 5, earlier we were not much bothered. Now that it will be in the public domain, we will be scrutinized by the every allottee and their relatives and their consultants, and every form may be verified, and we are also exposed to the public at large. And therefore, when we are issuing this form, which is a modified form, we need to be very careful. So there are so many amendments which have happened. The new chairman, in number of seminars, he has said, Ajay Mehta has said number of times that he wants to see that the complete transparency is maintained, and system, whatever the informations are available, that is made available to the public at large. And therefore, so many amendments he has done. And now, coming to the point, last 1 minute I'll take. So, chartered accountants who are issuing this certificate should be more careful. Please understand how the amendments have been done, what are the working paper that to be maintained, because anytime, anywhere, we also may be made a party in any of the complaints, and then we need to be accountable and responsible. And very important thing which has happened is, now whatever forms that we are going to do, the signature of the promoter also is obtained. To that extent, it is made accountable and responsible. Thank you very much for joining this program and also giving me an opportunity. And I hope Mr. Aditya Zantye, who is my colleague, and we have worked together in bringing out a MahaRERA law and practice, a manual, detailed manual of nearly 1,700 pages. Of course, he has contributed a lot in form number 3 and form number 5, and today he is going to deliberate on that. He has not only giving for the first time, he has been delivering this for the fourth or fifth time since the forms have been amended, and I think it is going to be a very, very important knowledge sharing session. Thank you, Virag, for giving me this opportunity.
Our pleasure, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And now would like to request Aditya Bhai to take the proceeding ahead.
Screen दिख रहा है विराग भाई?
Yes. Just make it a full screen slideshow mode. Yeah, perfect.
So, first of all, thank you, Ramesh Prabhu sir, for your kind words, and Virag bhai for inviting me to this wonderful webinar. And I can see there are more than 120 participants in this webinar. So let us see that today's webinar is very fruitful, and we get to learn more and more clarity regarding what are the new amendments or what are the new changes recently MahaRERA has brought, which will be or which might be an headache for the professionals, or it is an opportunity for the professionals. So let us see what are the changes. Yes. So firstly, we will see the hierarchy of the regulations which came out right from the inception of the Act. So we had MahaRERA General Regulations 2017 in the beginning, which were the principal regulations. After that, there were amendments, Regulations 2017 issued, and then we had second amendment regulations, wherein the major change, or we can say that the complete Form 3 was revised, and we had a few changes in those Form 3 which were having a huge impact on the way we were issuing the certification. And now the latest regulations, which are the MahaRERA General Amendment Regulations 2021. This is the breakthrough regulations wherein all the forms, right from beginning Form 1, 2, 2A, 3, 4, and 5, all the forms are totally changed, and we have different perspective now towards issuing the certificates. So we need to carefully observe and study all the forms, because while issuing the certificate, what stand we had taken earlier, that might not be the position as on date. So we have to issue, or we have to revise our estimates, we have to revise our working or considerations that we had initially taken into consideration while issuing the forms. So now let us see one by one what are the changes which has been brought by the General Amendment Regulations 2020. So major changes, first of all, the regulation 3, 3A and 4. These three regulations were amended totally, and in that few important things have been inserted or changed that will have an impact on our certification. So let us first see regulation number 3. In regulation number 3, you all know the earlier position was that certificate issued by project architect in form 4 to be issued on completion of. So what was, when you have to issue form 4, you all know that form 4 is issued while the entire project is completed. I mean to say, it may be the building wise or wing wise or phase wise, whatever it is, when the buildings were completed. So form 4 was issued at the time of completion of each of the building or wing of real estate project. So see the word carefully, that it was each of the building and or wing. So for completion of every building, suppose there are 4 buildings in a project. So after completion is been amended, and with the amendment, now he has to issue on the completion of registered real estate project, for which the project registration number is given, which is entire project, may it be base or wing or anything. But if it is for an entire project, and there are 4 buildings in this project, then he can issue the form 4 for that entire project and not building wise. So this has been amended, and the earlier position is totally changed. So here the headache on the part of architect is reduced. He can issue one certificate and mention all the OCs. If the developer has taken building wise OCs, then he can mention the OC numbers and all the details regarding that particular OC. We will take all the forms, because today's session is concentrated on form 3 and form 5, but to issue form 3 and form 5, all other forms needs to be studied also, because there are a far reaching impact in these forms also. Moving on to next slide. Regulation 3A. Regulation 3A, what it says earlier, form 2A shall be submitted at the end of, so it has to be submitted at the end of every financial quarter, which somewhere was not complied totally on the part of promoters, and it was bit hectic for them to obtain 4 certificates for every financial year. And pertaining to this, it used to maintain the quality, cement quality, and the grading, everything. There was an assurance, but this assurance somewhere Rera felt that it is over the quarter, for every quarter it is very difficult for promoter to comply with this. And recently MahaRERA introduced a quarterly progress reporting system. So here also he had to submit this certificate quarterly, but now the position is being made simple and it is amended, and now form 2A shall be submitted at the end of every financial year. So no requirement of submitting it at the end of every financial quarter. It can be submitted at the end of financial year. So before 31st March, you have to obtain this quality assurance certificate from the engineer, and you can upload it on the website. So this position has been made simple and a bit relaxing for the professionals also to comply with it. Moving on to next slide. Regulation 4. Regulation 4, the earlier position was the annual report on statement of accounts in form 5 to be certified and signed by, so signed by statutory auditor. So this was the term used for the auditor issuing form 5. Now statutory auditor was nowhere defined, but for the, in case of company, he was considered as a statutory auditor of the company, but he may or may not be having the knowledge of Rera. So that was the important point, because if he had to issue the certificate, he should know the background, all the changes, and the basis on which he has issued the certificate. So somewhere it was a bit confusing. Hence now they have changed the term, and the annual report, that is form 5, can now be signed, certified and signed by a auditor called as annual auditor. This is again not defined, but now he can be different than the statutory auditor of the company. So a company or a proprietor or an HUF or a partnership firm can have a different Rera auditor having the knowledge of Rera, and he can issue the certificate very well. And now the position has been solved that it is annual auditor. So again, the position relating to form 3 and form 5, that is both the chartered accountant should be different, remains the same, but only the term which is now statutory auditor, instead of statutory auditor we have annual auditor. Now we will see one by one the new forms which are issued with the amendment in 2021. Form 1 architect certificate. You all know that architect certificate is required at the time of registration and withdrawal. As per the section 4 to LD, we have to submit these 3 certificates, form 1, 2 and 3, for the purpose of withdrawal from the bank account. That is a major compliance promoter has to do in order to take the money out of the Rera designated bank account. So this certificate plays an important role, and now this certificate has been completely changed. What are the changes? Firstly, the subject clause, that is plot details, latitude and longitude, news, that is northeast west boundaries. All these details are no longer required in his certificate. It is completely removed, but the position on the website, that is on MahaRERA portal, remains the same. Developer has to disclose this. So while registering, if someone of you are taking the assignment of registration, you need to obtain this again from a professionals, because latitude and longitude you should have the GPS coordinates, so you can mention it on the website. So this needs to be taken care of, because now architect will not mention, but you require areas, plot area details, on the basis of which the fees, Rera registration fees are calculated. So you require these details to be mentioned on the portal, but architect won't mention it on his form 1. Next is, now this certificate can be issued for the entire layout. Earlier the position was that this certificate can be given for the building or the wing, but he can additionally give this certificate for the entire layout instead of issuing it building wise. So this is a major relaxation, I can say, for the architect, that this certificate is no longer required building wise or wing wise or phase wise. So for the entire layout, अगर पूरा layout हमने MahaRERA में register किया, then he can issue the certificate for the entire layout. But this might have a issue while issuing the certificate of form 3, because there we have to give rehab building construction related part and the sale building. So this can have a impact while studying the building or while issuing the certificate of form 3. However, we are not expected to have a physical verification, but somehow we should have an idea of the building wise details also, so that according to that we can verify the books of accounts, that how much work is completed, what stage it is going on. So, but he no longer is required to issue this building wise or wing wise. He can issue it for the entire layout. List of technical professionals deleted. He had to certify that who are the MEP consultants, who are the structural consultants, need to be mentioned by the architect in his certificate. But now again, this is not required to be mentioned. It is deleted. Number of basements, podiums, plinth, and slabs of superstructure. If you have observed in this architect certificate, earlier there was number of basements, podiums. So he had to mention a specific number of how many basements are there, how many podiums, how many slabs of superstructure. But now it is deleted. You only need to mention the percentage of actual work done as on the date of the certificate. But we still have to mention the number on the MahaRERA portal. So now there is no backing for this. You again have to take a representation from the written representation from the developer or the architect, that what is the status of how many numbers or of the basement and podiums, and again you can verify it from the approved plans. One important change, this is applicable for all the certificates. Now they have mentioned that you have to take the signature, counter signature of promoter, wherein they have specified that it is agreed and accepted by. So these words are very important, that you only don't have to issue the certificate, but you have to get it approved from the promoter. So that is very important. Unless and until you take the signature and seal of the promoter on that certificate, it won't be valid. So this is an important change, wherein this compliance is on the professionals to take the certificates properly agreed and accepted, signed and accepted by the promoter. That is very important. Moving on to next certificate, that is Form 2. Engineer certificate is having a great relevance for the purpose of issuing Form 3. Here also, I won't repeat this. Here also it is deleted. All the plot area, he also not required to mention this details in his certificate. Again, he can issue the certificate for the entire layout. Next is list of technical professionals deleted. Again, here also the professional, these first 3 points are common in all, in engineer and architect certificate. All the certificate, this has been done, it is deleted, and he can issue for the certificate for the particular layout. Now the major change, here is the major change, where estimated, you all know that engineer is the person who gives you an estimated cost and actual cost of the materials or services or units utilized, whatever it is, he gives you the estimated and actual cost. He is not in concern with the books of accounts, but what is actually happening, he has the technical specifications, he has the physical verification capability. So here he gives you an estimated cost of the civil MEP allied works. So पूरा buffet आपको estimated cost का engineer दे देगा. Internal and external works as per the specification mentioned in agreement of sale. Now this is the major change. What exactly is they are expecting now, that you don't only have to give the estimated cost, but it should be as per the specifications mentioned in agreement of sale. Now this is very important, because the agreement of sale, they are connecting all the certificates to the agreement of sale, because developer, what he is to do, he is to give the specification in the agreement. So now all the cost of those specifications is only included in the estimated cost, and the actual cost incurred, that needs to be verified by the engineer. So this word is very important, agreement of sale. Hence, he cannot take a stand that ये तो मुझे पता ही नहीं था, ये specifications ही नहीं था, ये कुछ और ही दे दिया, इसका मैंने ये किया, consider किया. No, whatever is been uploaded as a pro forma letter of allotment and agreement of sale on the MahaRERA portal, those specifications need to be considered while estimating the cost of civil MEP and allied works. In engineer certificate, moving further, now first you have to give the actual cost, estimated cost, then you have to consider just hold on. Yeah, so actual cost incurred to be on the basis of input material or services used and unit cost of these items. Now estimated cost and actual cost is very important for CA certificate, but estimated cost का तो पता चल गया कि as per the specification, but actual cost earlier certificate में अगर आप देखोगे तो actual cost में क्या था, actual cost incurred should be on the basis of estimated cost. This was the sentence used in earlier certificate, but now the position is changed. They have casted a specific responsibility that actual cost incurred should be on the basis of input material or services used and unit cost of this item. So these things are very important, because not only it should be on the basis of estimated, but actually input material or services kitne use हुए, and based on the per unit cost of these items, he have to evaluate this cost. That is very important. So these are the major changes in his certificate. Next is complete project as per approved drawings and specifications mentioned in agreement for sale. So this, he certifies that the project will be complete as per the approved drawings and specification mentioned in agreement for sale. So this is very important, that again and again they have added this word agreement for sale. Next is amendment in cost incurred or to be incurred due to deviation in quantity required or escalation of cost. So any deviation in quantity or escalation of cost, that needs to be incorporated in his certificate. So this certificate will give you a live evaluation of the project, that as on date of issuance, what is the estimated change, estimated cost, or is there any change in actual cost incurred. So this certificate will continuously give you a current status of the project. But those who are registering, or those who are having an assignment of updation on the project, they should take care that this, whenever he changes the estimated cost, that needs to be mentioned on the MahaRERA portal. Also, you have to apply for change by paying just 5,000 rupees, but that needs to exactly match on the portal also, whatever estimated cost he has mentioned in his certificate. Now moving on to next, he can issue the certificate for the entire layout, right? So, but what will be the issue if he has issued the certificate for entire layout? So if in a particular project there is rehab building also and sale building also, then there will be an issue, because chartered accountant has to mention construction cost of rehab building in his certificate estimated by the engineer, and actual cost incurred. So both this bifurcation needs to be obtained from the engineer himself. Hence, I would suggest that in a project where SRA is involved, or such rehabilitation or redevelopment project is involved, and you have to give the bifurcation in that project, Form 2 should be obtained building wise. That would be better, and it would give a clear picture. Deviation in material used to be reported. Now he has to report the any deviation in the material used in the project. So he has to report this also, that whether the standard quality, whatever is been specified, is used or not. So he has to very well report this in his certificate, and he has to mention the local authority license number if applicable. He has to mention this. Now in table C, there is a table C. It was earlier also there, but it was list of extra or additional items considered in cost. Earlier this was the position that only extra or additional cost जो भी है वो उसको उसके सर्टिफिकेट में इनकॉर्पोरेट करना है. मतलब जो एस्टिमेटेड और इसमें नहीं आया था पहले, वो अगर एडिशनल आइटम्स की वजह से कुछ आया कॉस्ट, he has to include that. But now they have added a word that deleted items. अगर डेवलपर ने पहले बोला था कि आई वुड गिव दिस, और द promoter had said that I would issue so and so material or whatever it is, and had considered, the engineer had considered this cost in his estimation, but later on that item was deleted, so that needs to be incorporated. वो cost भी consider होके delete होना चाहिए, estimated उतना reduce होना चाहिए, या फिर actual cost भी उतना changes आना चाहिए. So this word is added in his certificate. Now not only the additional part, but the deleted items cost also need to be considered. Again here, counter signature of promoter, he has to get it signed and agreed by the promoter. So this is common for all the certificates. Next is Form 2A. You all know that Form 2A is quality assurance, and like I said that in the amendments, it has to be issued at the end of the financial year. So that is the major change. Again, this first point is common, that is the subject clause. It is removed, it is deleted. To be issued yearly. Material wise details deleted. Earlier, if you have observed that he had to comment on the all the construction materials specifically, for example cement or the grading quality, each items were specifically need to be mentioned, but now all the items are clubbed, and he has to certify that all construction items, fixtures and fittings, and other sanitary fittings and all the amenities are as per the specifications mentioned in Annexure F of Agreement of Sale. So they have linked all the three certificates to the Agreement of Sale. So Agreement of Sale को base document बना दिया. Now there is no challenge that अगर Agreement of Sale में कुछ दिया है तो उस हिसाब से ही मुझे वो सर्टिफिकेशन देना है. So अभी वो separately grading quality वो mention करने का जरूरत ही नहीं. जो Agreement of Sale में है वो मैंने certify कर दिया. Hence material wise details I don't have to give. So this was the major change in his certificate. Now specification, he certifies that all the specification are as per Annexure F of Agreement of Sale, But what if there is no specification in the annexure F? If there is no such annexure, some developers might not give the annexure separately in the agreement of sale. Then in that case, he has to certify it as per the industry standards. What is the standard in as per the industry standard? वो specification से उसको ये certificate, वो quality certify करना है. So this is the additional thing. If there is specification, it should be as per annexure F, and if there are no specification, it should be as per the industry standards. The signature of promoter here also. Now the major and important certificate is Form 3, because Form 3 gives you a specified limit which enables developer to further withdraw funds from the designated bank account. So here, now in this certificate, there was no subject clause at all. All other certificate, there was a proper details and everything subject clause, it is removed, but in this certificate there was no subject clause and they have added. There they have just mentioned that it is for the MahaRERA registration number for this project, this certificate is issued. That's it, finish. But here they have added a subject clause stating that this certificate is for the financial progress of work. So slowly they are linking this to the quarterly compliance, because quarterly progress reporting system, and this certificate is to be issued for certifying financial progress of work. So this is very important. This term is very important. Understand what are you issuing. You are stating that what is the financial progress of work. Next is they have added two lines, that is the at the top, that certificate is issued for what? Issued for Rera compliance. So it covers everything, right? From all the sections, it is getting complied and rules everything, even the QPR, that is quarterly progress reporting system. So this certificate will enable him to withdraw, that is also part of compliance, and all the Rera compliance, this certificate will be issued. So this was not there in our earlier format, but now they have added this word. These are few words which you should understand to understand the impact or the seriousness of this particular certificate. Now they have introduced 7 tables in all, total 7 tables, which is in itself they have increased the size or length of this particular certificate. So 7 tables introduced कर दिए. इसमें most important thing is, apart from certifying the estimated and actual cost, I am also certifying the deposit and utilization of this particular certificate. In this particular certificate, so हम लोग deposit or utilization, now this position is totally changed. If you remember, in 2017 we had a clarification of CA certificates. In that it was clearly mentioned that chartered accountant issuing Form 3 is not expected to certify the end use of the funds. But now with the regulations, it is changed. Form 3 also needs to report this, that it is certifying the deposit and utilization for land and construction cost. So this is the major change. And now Form 3, somewhere Form 3 and Form 5 role is being aligned. That is very important. If you will observe, I would just read the word sentence, that I hereby certify that required proportion of money as specified in the Act. Now what is specified? It is 70% specified in Act, but 100% specified in rules. So both this percentage collected from allottees of the project unit as indicated in table C, we will see the tables one by one also, has been deposited in Rera designated bank account. So what I am certifying, that required percentage is being deposited in Rera bank account, that I am certifying. And secondly, the promoter has utilized the required proportion as specified in the Act collected from allottees for this project only for land and construction cost. So they have not used total cost, it is only land and construction cost. So जो required proportion है वो मैंने deposit कर दिया, and I have utilized that required proportion for the land and construction cost only. So this is an additional role. Counter signature. Now here also a chartered accountant is expected to take counter signature of the promoter, get it signed and agreed by the promoter. This is very important. Let us move forward to first estimated cost of the project, that is table A. If you all remember, estimated and actual cost, ये दोनों cost side by side comparative view था पहले certificate में, but अब उन्होंने table ही अलग कर दिया. Why? That is a very much important to understand why this change is made. Table A and B. Estimated cost of the project, separate table for estimated cost. At the time of registration of the project, you have to mention this estimated cost, which will remain same if there are any changes due to DC rules or any FSI or कोई अलग खर्चा आ गया जो पहले कंसीडर नहीं किए थे, तो ऐसे हम लोग उसको चेंज कर सकते हैं. You have to pay 5,000 and you have to make the changes. But why there is a separate table A? Because of this. Here only estimated cost of construction by engineer to be mentioned, which you can very well get it from form 2. Form 2 is the base for this, and only estimated part इसमें mention करना है and not actual cost of CA also, not estimated cost. Estimated cost CA देता ही नहीं है, but सिर्फ estimated cost of engineer इसमें आएगा. इसके लिए ये एक अलग से टेबल उन्होंने दिया है. So only estimated cost of construction by engineer to be mentioned here. Provision for cost incurred for additional items as per table A and B of engineer certificate. So any cost to be considered as additional जो भी है engineer certificate में, वो अगर incorporate करना है तो उन्होंने एक separate item दिया है. You need to incorporate that in your certificate. Next is pass-through charges or indirect taxes excluded. So this is very important. All the pass-through charges or all the indirect taxes which you just collect on the behalf of the government, you pay it to the government, you just collect it from allottees. So that needs, it is not your liability, it is not a cost of the project. Hence, it should not be considered in the cost of the project. It can be revised through correction application. All the estimated cost can be very well revised through the correction application. Will be actual cost of the project. Moving on to table B, we have a separate table for estimated cost. We have a separate second table for actual cost of the project. Here we have to mention minimum of actual cost of construction by engineer or CA to be mentioned. So see the changes. This is completely different position. Earlier position was estimated cost as certified by engineer, comparison with the actual cost of chartered accountant, whichever is lower need to be considered as actual cost incurred. But now it is actual cost certified by engineer and actual cost certified by CA, whichever is less need to be considered. So this is correct position, because suppose in the books cost of 100 units is been provided, but on the project, on the site, only 80 units are being consumed. So whatever is actual quantity used, actual cost incurred, that can be utilized. Hence the cost of 80 units will be provided here. So 100 बुक किया, लेकिन मैंने एक्चुअली में वहां पे सिर्फ 80 यूज किया, तो मैं यहाँ पे सिर्फ उतना ही जो मैंने एक्चुअल कॉस्ट incurred है, whichever is lower needs to be considered here. So this position is correct. Estimated cost में इंजीनियर का आ गया और एक्चुअल कॉस्ट में ये दोनों का मिनिमम आ गया, एक्चुअल और actual certified by engineer or actual certified by CA from the books of accounts. Again, estimated में provision for additional items and again actual cost incurred में additional items का दोनों का हम लोगों को consider करना है. Pass-through charges are excluded from estimated cost as well as from actual cost. We will see statement for calculation of receivables. This is not new. It is very well taken from earlier certificate, but what is the change is now this is not only applicable for ongoing projects, but it is also applicable for new projects. Earlier it was statement for a calculation for new projects, but now they have completely removed an ongoing word from there, and this statement for receivables is applicable, wherein you have to give sold inventory and unsold inventory, and it is applicable to new projects also. Because very well we were issuing this from, it was a general trade practice that we had to issue this for new projects also, but now with regulations they have made this change. But yes, in rules it is not yet amended. It is still for applicable for ongoing project only. Pass-through charges or indirect taxes excluded from unit consideration. So जो खर्चा भी मैं वहाँ पे नहीं करूंगा, इसका separate accounts रखूंगा, separate books of maintain करूंगा. I will hand over this to pass-through charges का I have to give it to the society. As per rules, it is mentioned that you have to give separate accounts to the association of the allottees. So you don't have to include that in the unit consideration, which will be considered as per the agreement or letter of allotment. Table D. Table D, again, comparison between the estimated cost and the receivables, balance cost and the receivables. This was again applicable for ongoing projects, but now it is made applicable to new projects also. So here word is removed, and only the element, one single element which was applicable to ongoing projects, it's still kept in the certificate at point number 5. That is, either if the cost, balance cost was less than the receivables, you have to deposit 100%. Otherwise, now all the points right from the serial number 1 to 4 is applicable to new projects, and only point number 5 is applicable to ongoing projects. So here balance amount of receivables of sold apartments is and estimated unsold apartments is compared with the estimated balance cost. But suppose for new project the cost is less than the receivables, you don't have to deposit 100%, it is 70% only. 70 or 100% check only for ongoing projects, applicable to all projects. And this, all the details, whatever unsold area you will disclose or sold area will disclose, the sold units, that should match exactly on the disclosure of sold unsold inventory by the promoter on his letterhead. That is very important. You need to check, because it is a public document, it cannot be deleted. So at every point of time that needs to be exactly matched with your certificate. So table D is comparison. Next is table E. Now here comes an important and new table which was missing right from the beginning. Form 3 never spoke about bank account. It never spoke about bank account. I mean targeting the bank account in particular. We were now not we didn't have to mention the bank account number also. Now also there is no such field called as bank account number or IFSC, anything needs to be mentioned. But see, to keep it a point that whatever balance in this detail, in this particular table you mention the bank account, because in Rera, MahaRERA, there is no banking regulations, the Rera designated bank regulations separately. So the bank account can be updated through a normal project update. So you need to check whether the bank account which you are verifying is registered on the MahaRERA portal. And if subsequently the bank account is changed, you have to give both the tables for earlier bank account also and for the current bank account also in every certificate. So that will totally match how much is the total amount collected or withdrawn for the project. So here what you need to mention in the designated bank account details, actual amount till date. See the sentence here in the bracket, from start of the bank account to till date. So you are issuing certificate for the first time after December, you have to consider from start of the bank account to till date what is the opening balance, deposits, withdrawal and closing balance. Now here deposits and withdrawals will play a major role, because there are issues, there are many times other amounts are collected in deposits, withdrawals for different things. So that needs to be separately given, either way of a disclosure of reconciliation or you need to mention in the notes, because deposits and withdrawals and closing balance, you cannot change this figure. This should exactly match with the bank statement. So यहाँ पे तो चेंज नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन उसमें कितना डिपॉजिट्स LOTs का है 70%, because many developers have not opted for a separate banking account mechanism which is offered by private banks and nationalized banks. So they have a single bank account wherein we have to see that whether it is 70%, 30%, we have to divide it. So you need to mention whatever it is, you need to disclose, and you should have a proper reconciliation. How much is the money collected for LOTs from LOTs, and only 70% needs to be is the valid deposits in this particular account. Next is table F. So here, table F, means of finance. In this case, this is altogether a new table. It was not there in earlier, but what Rera is expecting the estimated at the time of registration, which is proposed and indicative. Now this means that the promoter have to estimate, or are there any indications that he will require the funds, he will require borrowed funds from outside for completion of this project. So this is totally a figure which is not in the books, and which developer don't know as on date. He just needs to predict that whether he will be able to complete it entirely through the funds of the LOTs, or he need to borrow funds from outside. So that needs to be, generally we give cash flows, and we give this type of certificates in the SRA. We require whether he will be able to complete the rehab building component. We have to give the cash flow, how the funds will be arranged. 20% is for capital, 80% from the LOTs, or his contribution, or from loan. So now they are also expecting that whether he will be able to complete the project. So how much own funds he will bring in, what will be the total borrowed funds for the project, how much customer receipts used for the projects. Now this is very important. Till now you might not be having this figure, because form 3 was never going to deal with this particular thing, that how much is the receipts used for the project. But now you have to report this also. Not only collected, we were only disclosing sold inventory details, wherein we had to mention received amount and balance receivable. But now how much out of that received amount is actually used for the project, that needs to be mentioned here. So it is very important to note that all these three figures will give you a consolidated amount of available funds for the project, and that can be compared with the estimated cost. It is not for your comparison, but if suppose there is any issue with the project, there is any lapse in the project, then MahaRERA, based on the current certificates, they will get an idea that what is the position, whether he will be able to complete the project or not. So every time, see here, they have given importance for the estimation at the time of registration, at the time of certificate. So every certificate you need to mention this, and this figures nowhere they are mentioned on the website. You don't have to mention it on a MahaRERA. Till now there is no facility, but estimation, yes, somewhere we cannot give the estimation, but we have to rely on the figures calculated by the engineer and the promoter. So we have to take the representation from him. And if you will observe, in case of estimated at the time of registration, there is a asterisk mark, but there is no note being given in the certificates for draft formats which are amended and which is issued. So we can consider that asterisk mark clarification is proposed and indicative, but till now there is no clarification on this. So you need to take a figure from the developer, and for every certificate you should have an estimate how much is the total funds available for the project and total estimate cost. Yes, actual you have to verify from the books of the accounts that total borrowed amounts is considered whatever is actually used. Drawdown availed till date of the certificate, that amount needs to be considered, not the sanction. So on whatever is utilized, that needs to be considered in your certificate. Now, after issuing the certificates, we were very confused that if there are any exceptions, and no project is there which are there in which there are no exceptions. See, somewhere in some projects the pass-through charges are collected in this bank account. Rera bank account is not maintained. One bank account is maintained for different projects. So many exceptions are there, and there was no proper place to insert these comments or observations on the particular project. But now they have given you a separate table called as table G, where you have to mention any comments or observations of CA. And this has a wide impact because since this is not a public document, it is not disclosed in the list, but anyone can obtain this a copy. If he can make a copy in the complaint if there is an issue in the certificate, because here the bank account operations are involved. So that is a major issue where you have the control, all the three professionals have the control of the bank account. So if you will allow him to withdraw, then only he can withdraw and use for the project. So that means you are providing a reasonable assurance that yes, he is spending the amount for that particular project for land and construction cost only. So that has a great impact. So please keep it in mind that you need to mention whatever exceptions or whatever discrepancies you observe in land cost, construction cost, in bank account operations, sold and unsold inventory details, any issues you find up, and it is not as per the approved plans, floor plans are different, or whatever it is, there is not, they have not mentioned proposed in FSI. So whatever it is, on the basis of which you will issue certificates, you have to include all the exceptions, all the comments or observations by a chartered accountant. Because most of the cases, you might have observed that now there are approx 3,500 projects which are lapsed, and it is still on the website. These projects have taken form 3. Most of them have taken form 3 or all the professional certificates at the time of registration of the project. And after that, there is a lapse of 4 years, 3 to 4 years approx, wherein no certification is obtained. So all such non-obtainance or it is not compliance of section 42LD, and here you have to mention this as exceptions. You have to mention the comments, you have to mention, because there is no limit, and whatever is being withdrawn is in excess. If he is not having a proper limit, proper certificate on record, it is not allowed for him to withdraw. And now with the another circular, recent circular, we will take that also, wherein the position has been cleared totally that you have to submit this certificate to bank account. Earlier self declaration दोगे, एक format दिया था, वो चलता था, but अब बैंक slowly, जो banks में mechanism है वो लोग तो करेंगे नहीं allow, but जिनके पास नहीं था, now they have to develop the mechanism, because now they won't allow you to withdraw the funds because if you don't have this certificate on record. And now this certificate needs to be uploaded on the website also. So again, it cannot be deleted, it cannot be changed. So once it is uploaded, it becomes a public document. This is a certificate which have a great importance right from the beginning, because this is the person, this is a chartered accountant who will have the proper control on all the professional certificates also, because he's the person who can comment on 3 certificates. That the regulations have given him the right that in case of any issues, he might comment on the discrepancies observed in the 3 certificates. So form 5 annual auditor is having a great importance here, and mind you that this certificate is available on public. Now it can be easily downloaded from the website. So it has become a public document. Now henceforth, wherever there are complaints, people might make this document as a part of the complaint, and if there are any discrepancies, it will have a huge impact on the developers, promoters, and the overall health of the project. So here developers or promoters should also take precaution that here if any comments are being given and any discrepancies are observed, they should immediately rectify those discrepancies, they should comply with those, and they should keep the project active, or the health of the project should be maintained. So let us see what are the major changes in Form 5. It is a simple certificate, but now they have increased the responsibility. The length of the certificate again will increase. It is a 2-page certificate, but once you start issuing it, it will go to minimum 5 to 6 pages, because they have increased the content, the responsibility of the auditor. So here subject clause to pehle se tha, but what is the change? Now additional word, apart from utilization and withdrawal, he also have to certify deposit. So that is the major change. Form 3 क्या करेगा? Deposit utilization. Form 5 क्या करेगा? Deposit utilization and withdrawal. So they are controlling the project from both the ends. They don't want any loophole in the project. Form 3 बोलेगा कि means of finance क्या है बता? How he will arrange the funds for the project. So you will get that. He will certify what is the actual cost incurred. He will certify the deposit and utilization. Form 5 certifies 3 aspects. It will complete the entire project. That deposit भी अगर मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि बराबर deposit किया, बराबर utilize किया, बराबर withdraw किया, then it's done. So here the control, other 3 professionals will have a control of the agreement of sale, specification से project complete हो रहा है, और अपने Form 3 and Form 5 they will comment on the utilization, withdrawal and deposit. So this is very important. They have added this word deposit, which was earlier not there in our certificate. Next is Form 4 tables and 2 sub tables introduced. So here there is a change. We were not having such tables. We only had to certify that the amount collected and collected till date, the cumulative figure, and utilized for the project, withdrawn for the project, and withdrawn till date. So these were the figures we used to certify. But now they have properly mentioned 4 tables and 2 sub tables are introduced. Before starting with the tables, you need to understand that the first table speaks about short deposits. The first table speaks, it goes with the line of the certificate, that is subject clause, where in first table deals with deposit, then utilization, and then withdrawal. So here you have to first certify the deposits. So here shortfall deposit amount needs to be reported. पहले जो table दिया है, we will study that table also. But if there is any shortfall, then you have to separately mention that. Here they have asked the question in that, has the required proportion of money collected from allottees of the project units. See, in all the certificates they have used different terms. Somewhere they have used project units, somewhere they have used units. Rather they should have used apartments, which is very well defined in the act, and it would cover everything, but they have somehow used everywhere different terminologies. Shortfall deposit amount has the required proportion of money collected from allottees of the project units as specified in the act deposited in Rera designated bank account. उतना किया है, नहीं किया है, तो कितना नहीं किया, that needs to be, please mention the amount not deposited. So that is to be mentioned specifically what is the shortfall. Next is, we will see the withdrawals table. We will see the deposit table, withdrawal table, and utilization. But if in case of withdrawals, they have added a sub table. अब उसमें क्या है? As specified in the act, all amounts withdrawn during the year from Rera designated bank account, Rera bank account, were within the withdrawal limit as certified under the relevant Form 1, 2, and 3 issued during the reporting period. So अब इसमें क्या हो गया कि हम लोग को ये कमेंट करना है कि जो भी विड्रॉवल लिमिट दिया है, सारा विड्रॉवल्स उस लिमिट के हिसाब से है या नहीं. If there is no, if the answer to this is no, then you have to provide date-wise withdrawals of excess amount of withdrawals. Now this is an additional responsibility because specifically in case of labs project, if they require right now, they are in a position that if they require extension under section 6 or 7, they are not giving this extension until and unless there is compliance of all the certificates. So if anyone has not issued certificate and not obtained the certificate from CA after registration of the project, then all such withdrawals are in excess of the withdrawal limit, because that might be already exhausted. So here all such withdrawals, the date wise withdrawals, you need to mention in your table. It is a non-compliance. Similarly, in case of utilization, they have a separate second table for non-utilization also for the project cost. So the above the amount withdrawn from the designated bank account should be used towards project cost only. Now they have mentioned a project cost. Nowhere the project cost has been defined. It is the total cost of the project, estimated cost is defined, but they should have used land and construction cost only. That would be more specific. So here towards the project cost, and if no, then you have to mention the date wise non-utilization. Now remember one thing, if there is a figure, if there is excess withdrawals in the mention in the first table, but it is used, the excess withdrawals is also used for project, then that amount won't come in non-utilization, even though it is excess withdrawal, because there is separate two tables. If it is excess withdrawals, you can mention that, but if that excess withdrawals is also used for the project, then no need to mention in non-utilization towards project cost. Again, we have to obtain counter signature of the promoter. That is a major change. So first table is table A. Please observe carefully, everyone. Here the table is, here you need to mention for the fiscal year total for this project till date. So Q1 is for that particular financial year, and then other is cumulative figure. So total amount collected from allottees is suppose 50, percentage amount to be deposited as per the act. Now as per act it is 70%, and for ongoing it is 100% as per rules. So as per act it is 70% amount to be deposited. I can have considered 35. So total amount deposited in the designated bank account suppose is 30, actual में deposit हुआ है. So percentage of amount deposited in designated is 60%, that is 30 divided by 50. So there is a 10% shortfall, so they have not deposited, fine. So that means that shortfall needs to be reported separately in the line that is there any shortfall, you have to mention the shortfall. So if as per 70%, here there is 60% which is less, so you have to report this, and total for this project till date there is a cumulative column also. Will be withdrawals, particulars for this fiscal year, total for this project till date. Now if you will see in form 3, it is right from the beginning of the bank account to till date of the certificate, but here it is for the fiscal year and total cumulative. So you need to mention the opening balance of the fiscal year also and the cumulative figures also for the total withdrawals part. तो यहाँ पे total deposits, total amount withdrawn. अभी withdrawn for project है नहीं है, that needs to be properly disclosed. How much is to, because this should exactly match with the bank account, bank Rera designated bank account. Next is table D. Any comments or observations of CA? We have a separate table now, again in form 5. So any exceptions relating to deposit, utilization and withdrawals need to be mentioned. Any discrepancy in form 1, 2 and 3 needs to be mentioned here. Other exceptions related to project also needs to be mentioned here. After all the forms, this is the ultimate form or the last form where once you issue this form, the entire project is considered to be completed, because here also we have the OC detail. So यहाँ पे ये जो form 4 है, it considers the completion. Here also the first point and the second and third points are common for all the certificates. So on the basis, here the additional thing is, now architect not only required to issue the certificate, but earlier it was only that this certificate will be issued on the basis of certificate from structural engineer, जो structural engineer के basis पे, but इस पे एक word डाल दिया inspection, because there was a case where a surveyor was held responsible and he was an architect also, so he issued the certificate Form 4. Even though it had an OC, it was not fit for occupancy. So he was held responsible for that and liable for action as decided by the MahaRERA. But here now they have inserted this word that it should be on his inspection also, and then only he will issue the certificate. And it should be again, see, in Form 1, Form 2, Form 4, and Form 2A. Everywhere it is, the word is agreement for sale. So it is not only complete, but it is complete as per agreement for sale. So एग्रीमेंट ऑफ सेल से ये वर्ड हर सर्टिफिकेट में इंसर्ट करके उन्होंने सारे प्रोफेशनल्स को बाइंड कर दिया. काउंटर सिग्नेचर ऑफ प्रमोटर इज रिक्वायर्ड. लास्ट स्लाइड फॉर द डे. Rera certificates, Rera bank account operations in the position in different statutes, that is Rera Act, MahaRERA rules and regulations, whether the certificates to be submitted to bank or not. So what Rera's Act says, yes, for every withdrawal, only promoter can withdraw after the issuance of these certificates. MahaRERA rules also says, yes, it is to be submitted. FAQ released in 2019, yes, it is original to be retained and copies to be submitted to the bank. It was mentioned that, but in circular number 3 2017, it was said that no, you don't have to submit it, only a self declaration to be submitted to the bank. But now there is a circular, latest circular 28 December 2021, which has superseded circular number 3 2017. So 3 2017 is no longer valid, and yes, now the position is aligned with all other three, and you have to submit this certificate to the bank at the time of every withdrawal, and copies to be submitted online to MahaRERA. So now every bank has to ask for these certificates, or you as a developer or promoter should submit this certificate to the bank. And every withdrawal, मतलब उसमें तो withdrawal limit होगा. So many banks have a mechanism that they keep a track of the withdrawal limit, and once the withdrawal limit is over, then they ask for the new certificates. Until the time they block the funds. So here we compulsorily, as per law, now it is aligned, and there is no self declaration. So henceforth, don't use any self declaration format as the developer to submit the certificates to bank for the withdrawal. So these are the three certificates. All the three certificates need to be submitted, which is a headache for developer now, because he should be in a position to obtain the certificates regularly and properly. Otherwise, अगर उसने at the time of withdrawal उसको urgent needs of fund है और फिर उसको certificate लेना पड़ा, then it will take time, because approximately the working needs to be done, and then all the certificates to be obtained and submitted to the bank. So that is to be done before expiry of the withdrawal limit. It will be better to avoid blockage of working capital. So thank you everyone. I have completed my webinar. Virag bhai?
किसी का क्वेश्चन है क्या? Aditya, you have done very well. I
Thank you,
have
sir.
listened to you properly. So I don't think there are any questions.
Yes, sir. There are few questions in the question tab. Aditi bhai, can you open that question tab?
Okay. Yeah. So someone is asking to share the PPT. Yes, I will share with the Connect Easy Virag bhai.
Yes, yes.
The counter
Yes, we'll share
signature.
with the all the attendees.
Yeah. If the counter signature is given by promoter, then should CA use his letterhead for certificate, or it should be on a plain paper? No, the certificate needs to be issued on the CA certificate only, and but you need to obtain the signature uh, uh, from the promoter. That is to be done by the promoter, agreed and signed. However, we issue normally first page on the letterhead, so subsequently it will be on the blank paper only. So you can obtain very well the signature of the promoter. And firstly, you should discuss the draft with the promoter, and then to avoid any issues with the project, you should obtain consent for the draft, and then final certificate should be issued. In table E of form 3, we need to give withdrawals of designated account. Should this figure match with amount which can be withdrawn from designated account? If withdrawals of designated account, should this figure I'm not able to understand. The withdrawals from designated balance, should this figure match with amount which can be withdrawn from no amount which can be withdrawn from the designated bank account is the limit, and withdrawals are already which are the amount which is withdrawn. So that you give the limit, that cannot be matched with the amount which are already been withdrawn. So one is been done and one is future activity. So you are giving a limit to the developer. In future he can withdraw the amounts, but here till date the withdrawals will be the past amount that is been already withdrawn under the previous certificate. So till date it is withdrawn, and hence it cannot be matched. But yes, obviously compared to the previous certificate, that will be in addition. Suppose withdrawals जो थे वो पहले का जो फिगर है और अब का जो withdrawals का फिगर है, वो उसका जो डिफरेंस है वो पिछला जो तुमने लिमिट दिया था उसके अप्रॉक्स आजू बाजू ही होना चाहिए. That means that will be in addition to the limit. So हमने जो भी लिमिट दिया उसके अंदर ही हमने पूरा टोटल विड्रॉवल्स किया. अगर एक्सेस वहीं पे दिख रहा है तो हम लोग वहां पे ऑब्जर्वेशन और एक्सेप्शन में लिख देंगे. Project was funded by bank loan. Loan repayment was done through escrow account by bank, which was charged from designated account. This is not an expense and thus will not come under table B. To that extent, there will be a mismatch. See, loan repayment, principal loan repayment is never to be taken as a project cost, because when you obtain the loan or when you obtain the funds, you have already considered it in either the land cost or the construction cost. So जो funds है तुमने already utilize किए, and if you see the actual cost incurred definition, they have clearly mentioned that the product or services has been accrued and you have either paid the amount, you have received the product or services. So never consider an advance. So escrow mechanism is a different thing, but if you have already taken the cost, there should not be it should be mutually exclusive. So there are no double counting of cost is allowed. So here also under table B, you don't have to consider any kind of loans or such things, and you have to disclose whatever it is. See, you have whatever position or inference on the basis of which you have issued the certificate needs to be clarified and needs to be properly mentioned in the comments or observations. If builder does not bring OC before 2017, but possession is given before 2017, can case be filed under Rera? Now, this is not relating to the topic. if builder, because it is a different thing. You can very well go, because now also New Tech promoter judgment, which is a landmark judgment of Supreme Court. So they have clarified the position when the project will be, as Ramesh Prabhu sir has also said that whenever it is an ongoing project, it is no OC and CC has been issued, it will be considered as ongoing as on 2070. So very well you can opt for the redressal from the MahaRERA. So far banks have not asked for certificates or have not changed the way of, yes, correct. But what exactly the issue is, now those banks who are not having this facility, at least the developer should convey this a written letter that it is my view, because MahaRERA has not specified this, and many banks have don't have this functionality also. But at least the developer should have a letter that he wants to certify as in compliance with this particular circular. But since you do not have the facility, we will keep this on our record. So this can be signed and this can be very well kept on the records, so that to avoid future litigations. This is my personal view. I have a question to ask. Can I be muted? Sir, one participant, Palkesh Khandelwal, is asking him to be unmuted. What to do when actual land cost much higher than ASR value? Yes. Now, in Form 3, you might have observed that the cost to be considered is the ASR value. So here the issue is, if you want to consider the actual cost and you want him to be included on the actual cost incurred, then you need to clarify it by way of the proper disclosures. But as per the regulations, that is the form, here you have to mention the ASR value of the actual cost incurred. So what happens if it is higher, the ASR value is higher, and you have spent 1 lakh rupees or 5 lakhs. So whatever is the cost incurred against that ASR value, till the ASR value, whichever is lower needs to be mentioned. If it is ASR value, if you have spent more, then it is to ASR value needs to be considered in the form. But if you want to consider the cost, what happens is Rera is not allowing him to withdraw the entire land cost at once. So you might consider that cost. What I would suggest, as the construction progresses, you might allow the based on a certain percentage also. So that position can be taken and very well disclosed, because see, contradictory positions have been taken by many authorities also. For example, in case of interest, in interest on compensation, it has not been allowed by the adjudicating officer that he needs to be paid from the own funds. That is what the position was taken. So here also, but MahaRERA had allowed in a clarification also, they had mentioned that you can very well consider it as actual cost. So whatever it is, if you have taken a particular position, you just clarify that you have to disclose it, that based on this, I have considered this. Project was funded by bank loan repayment was, this is done. Can Form 5 be issued in old format? No. Whatever forms which will be issued after the notification, signing date is very important. All those forms which are issued after the date, you have to issue it in new format only, because now no longer the earlier certificates are valid. So compliance, because anyhow you have a date of signing, we have to comply with the union generation and everything. So if the date of signing is before 22nd December, the date of the amendment, then you have to you can issue it in old formats, but the date of signing should be before that. So agar wo compliance nahi kiya hai, abhi koi aaya, abhi sign kar rahe ho, then you have to issue it in new formats only, because they have clearly used the word it. These forms are being replaced immediately. So in Form 3, Table B, land cost incurred, it is as per ASR. Does it not undermine the promoter cost? Yes, I have already been answered. It has already been answered. How do I withdraw funds from the bank, and what is the document I need from CA? If you want to withdraw the funds from bank, you require 3 documents: Form 1, 2, and 3. These 3 documents will enable you to withdraw funds from the bank account. Yes, the formats are already been specified. You can very well download it from MahaRERA website. There is a separate field called as new forms. In this, all the forms, they have mentioned those forms. What are the implications in case of non-deposit in Rera bank account despite the withdrawal limit of promoter having sufficient cushion for the same? Not able to understand your question, because implication in case of non-deposit in Rera bank account despite withdrawal, one is deposit and other thing is withdrawal. See, don't have any relation to it. But non-deposit in Rera bank account, it is a compliance of section 3, section 4. So whatever it is, the penalty might be charged, which may extend to 5% of the cost of the project as determined by the authority, which might be considered as per the form 3 estimated cost. Self-certification is in excess of withdrawal, then any time limit to rectify. Not followed your question exactly. Self-certification is in excess of withdrawal, then any time limit to rectify, because there is no such time limit to rectify or no such self-certification, because all the certificates are issued by the professionals. Is it applicable to the ongoing project? Does it have retrospective effect? It is applicable to all the projects, not only ongoing projects. This is the form henceforth to be issued, and if the forms are obtained now for the ongoing projects, then also this new certificates need to be issued. Earlier I was using self-declaration. Yes, for withdrawing the funds you were using self-declaration, but now you have to compulsorily submit the certificates to the bank. How will the lender of the project react in view of the amendments? Now that depends, because all the lenders are very well aware of the amendments, and they are very much in track of the activities. So whatever is being demanded, whatever chartered accountant certificates are there, they will keep the records, and you have to compliance in order to take the funds. Otherwise, there are some penalties also charged in terms of the interest for non-compliance of Rera by the lenders. It's promoter responsibility to obtain CA engineer, or you mean it's otherwise? Also, what in case promoter don't agree with certification issue? See, it's promoter responsibility. Obviously, you as a CA or a engineer, you cannot approach him that take the certificate. He will come to you and he will ask for the certificate, because ultimately he has to face the penalty. The penalty is on him. What penalty is on the professionals is to take the case with their professional bodies and liable for disciplinary actions, and certain penalty can be charged by MahaRERA. But in the act, it is specified that they are liable, the promoters are liable for non-obtaining the certificates. If don't agree, see, now this is a case of it is a debate that whether he will agree or not, because now in tax audit we do the same thing. What we do is we upload the certificate, he has to accept through the digital signature, but if he rejects, it becomes a public record, so that Rera authority, income tax authority, knows why he is rejecting that form, and again we have to rectify, or we have to do the same thing. But here till the time, I don't know the when it will become digital, but till now we are issuing the certificates, and we have to take the it is agreed and signed by the promoter. So if he will not agree or sign, he will have to, he cannot upload that certificate. Even if he upload that certificate, it is not valid. So that no validity to that certificate. And if another chartered accountant is accessing those works, he might fall into trouble, because you have taken a stand, you based on that you have raised certain objections. So NOC plays an important role in this case. Form 3 CA financial progress of work needs to be certified in Form 3. Table A need to certify actual cost of project, thus needs to be tallied. You are talking about some other form, because Form 3 CA financial program needs to be certified, and in Form 3 table A need to be actual. So your actual cost should always tally with the books of accounts. Now here you are talking about some other authority or other form, because here only MahaRERA we don't have any such form called as Form 3 CA. Where to mention that whether project is RREP or non-RREP, so allotee will come to know. No need to see whatever information is asked, you only have to report that. Please don't fall into other aspects where you have to mention that it is RREP. It is nowhere a compliance of Rera, it is a compliance of GST. So it is not at all required to be reported. Please stick to the bank account and the financial work of the progress. That's it. You don't have to fall into the pass-through charges or indirect taxes collections. As land costs are massive, and if land cost is incurred is as per ASR, the promoter cannot withdraw the actual cost of land from our certificate from 3. See what happens if land cost is entirely allowed. See, the project is spread over a period of 4 to 5 years, and if we will allow the entire land cost to be withdrawn right on the beginning, then it will be of no use if the project is stuck in the afterwards. So that is the reason they have allowed that certain burden will put, he will be also responsible, because 30% तो दे रहा है ना, 30% is a good limit for him to be used for other purpose also. So here somewhere they have, that is the intention behind this, and there is no hesitance from the part of the promoter bodies or SROs. So here till the position is been changed, we have to follow this. We as a chartered accountant should follow, should stick to the regulations whatever is mentioned in the Form 3. As land costs are massive, and if land cost is incurred is as per ASR, the promoter cannot withdraw. Yes, done. In Form 3 Table D, serial number 5 to be filled for ongoing project. So question is, ongoing project means registered as ongoing or applicable? No, ongoing project means the project which are covered under Section 3 proviso. Those are called as the ongoing project as per the Act. So here they have clearly mentioned in the wording, provided that projects that are ongoing on the date of the commencement of this act. So those projects which are ongoing as per the proviso of Section 3(1), you need to consider those as ongoing. Go to MahaRERA for any complaint against committee, or it is applicable to Rera registered project only. Old society cannot go to committee unless it is self-development and they are selling the flats to outsiders also. There is a requirement of Rera. Otherwise, this is not a forum where the internal disputes of committees or members they will entertain. So there should be compliance of Section 3 definition when the project needs to be registered. That is, before advertisement or acceptance and booking or sale amount, you need to register the project. I would say please stick to the topic only, everyone. In CA certificate under table F, the estimated cost of project as per table A should match with the total funds of the project in the same table, right? Yes, the estimated cost as per table should match with the total funds can be, estimated cost अगर उतना है cover करने के लिए तो उतना दो, but not necessary that how much is the, obviously total estimated cost तो cover होना ही चाहिए. Then how will he be able to manage the project? Why is he even doing that project? अगर उसका लॉस ही है, उसको नहीं जम रहा है, तो वो मीट होना तो है ही नहीं. It should be equal or it should be more. For delay in project completion, can the CA and structural engineers be liable on the basis of certificate issued by them? Can they be made parties to the MahaRERA complaint? See, for delay in project completion, the issue is CA certifies the cost, and unless and until all the association of allottees go for a change in promoter or there is a total stuck up of the project, MahaRERA will not enforce these measures, and these certificates will still remain on the records only, because MahaRERA is concerned about project completion and they don't want any dispute or to take any disciplinary action against any profession. So till now, there is no instance such that But after the case is been taken to the change of promoter, or after section 7(3), then we have a designated panel. So in that, CAs, engineers and the architects of those particular projects are also taken up for consideration, what is to be done next. So decide whether in future what is to be done, the change of developer is to be done, or the LODs can take over the project. Then only these certificates will play important role. But yes, professional issues, if you are giving a good picture that yes, the entire project cost is being used, but from the books of account, if any forensic audit is been done and they find out that there is lapse in the issuance of certificate, then action might be taken. And now the buyers can make the certificates as the documents in case of complaints. So already they have started doing it in case of Form 5. If there are any comments specifically in the Form 5 by a chartered accountant or architect or engineer, can you please let me know upfront submission interest? Some milestone is filing and money received 4,50,000 and 70% transferred to Rera account. Will rupees 35,000 amount to money received is 4,50,000 and transferred to Rera account. So whatever the amount is received, that needs to be transferred to Rera. And after that 70%, if you have deposited 70%, then obviously there won't be any issue, because whatever amount is collected, you have to deposit 70% into the separate bank account. Whether there is any form to certify whether land is free from all encumbrance. No, there is no such thing. We have a legal title report, and side details need to be uploaded on the website. So that is enough that it will mention that any encumbrance is there, and self-declaration from promoter. If my expenses is more than receivable, then how much amount I am able to withdraw from the bank account? If your expenses is more than receivable, then there is no issue. You can withdraw based on the CA certificates itself. The CA certificate issues give you an actual cost incurred limit. So based on that, you can withdraw. The check is only for ongoing project. That if the receivables are less than expenses, you have to deposit 100%. If the promoting issue is old, using his old bank account, and how to tackle practical difficulty mentioning opening balances, deposit, withdrawals, and yeah. See, now first of all, he had to open a separate bank account after Rera, because he was used to give a Form B declaration. If he is not ready, if he is not given those details, we are responsible from the date of Form B. That is the affidavit in which he declares that I will abide by the conditions, I will deposit 70%. So for old bank account, you have to just mention the details, but you can very well give a disclosure that the responsibility relating to deposits and withdrawals start from the day of Form B, that is affidavit, and the registration of the project. So there is minimum percentage limit, what should be completed for? No, there is no such percentage limit that should be completed for withdrawal from Rera designated bank. With reference to pass-through excess paid to be excluded, but with respect to developer who would have taken benefits or lower premium, there is a obligation for stamp duty payable by the developer. This is the cost to the developer. How this will be treated? Yeah, whatever premium they have already given you the actual cost. Okay, so actual cost mean we can very well take the ASR related premiums, land premiums, all the premiums which are non-refundable or which are payable to the authorities. That becomes the cost of the project. It is not a pass-through charges. All these premiums and these are actual part of the cost of the project. So you can very well take this and as the cost of the project. December 21 withdrawal limit say 5 crore. On 5th Jan, they withdraw rupees 10. So no need to take again certificate. What is the necessity to again obtain a certificate? Is the situation in case of self-development? But regarding what? I'm not able to understand the question. The words mentioned in the form is estimated as on date of registration. However, if there is any change in estimated cost post registration, how do we mention that? In the form, they have mentioned two columns. One is estimated date as on date of registration, estimated cost, and other is estimated cost as on date of certificate. So whenever there is change, you need to get it amended and you have to mention it in your certificate also. Withdrawal ability if developer reduces in view of the amendments. Withdrawal ability if developer reduces in view of the amendment. Not able to understand your question, sir. Do we need to consider details of Rera? 30% account also for no. 30% certificate not required. What if promoter or developer obtains loan from consortium of banks? How would the working assist? Obtaining a loan in nowhere there is a compliance for the Rera. Once you have obtained the loan, you have to include that cost. मतलब जो भी spend किया है जहाँ पे भी incorporate किया है वो cost तुम्हारा आ जाएगा तो repayment of loan is not required. Interest very well can be taken as a actual cost. Yes, these forms are applicable from the date of the amendment. What will be the significance of proposed officer at the time of registration? Say PMC will allow in filter Rera portal whether there is any tab to upload quarterly progress. No, till now it is not yet active. We just have to upload form 2 and 3 wherever the tabs are there. In case of revenue sharing arrangement as per development agreement, can we take ASR value under land cost? Yes, but wherever there is land cost, you have to take it as per the ASR value. Can partners contribute allowed to withdraw from? This is a partner's contribution is if he's a working employee and he's getting any remuneration, then it can be allowed. But capital contribution cannot be allowed as there is no specific thing that which mentions or gives him right to withdraw. What if Form 3 has been issued in old format and uploaded on portal? Date of signing is important and not upload. Or only from 30. Loan repayment was that, say for example, customer deposits 100 in designated account, out of which bank withdrawal rupees 30 as loan repayment, because that was the mechanism as per the bank loan agreement. How withdrawals in table E will show rupees 30. Yeah, so see, whatever you have withdrawn the 30 amount, you have to mention. That is the reason you have to give a disclosure. You have to give a reconciliation. How much is the withdrawal for the project, and in that you have to mention that loan repayment is this much. What are the penalties for non-submission of QPR? Section 11, non-compliance of Section 11 entirely. So till now, the penalties are not being charged or the notices are not being issued. Once it is active, the penalties might be started. They will quantify these penalties because anyhow they have given the right to charge 5% of estimated cost, but that won't be the part. They will charge. They might quantify the penalties. Are the forms updated one available in Excel PDF format for reference? Yes, PDF format it is on the website MahaRERA portal. Just check the tab new forms. All the forms are being uploaded on there. Recorded version, I don't know. You can ask Virag bhai. Project is approved up to 14th floor, but developer has planned to construct up to 20th floor. Withdrawal was done up to 20th floor, but qualifications to be made as a CA. See, project is approved up to 14th floor and developer is planned to construct 20th floor. So withdraw, how can he withdraw was up down till 20th floor? If the architect say this is the responsibility of the architect and engineer, whatever they will mention, because they are responsible for physical verification. we should mention whatever cost is there based on the actual cost incurred definition. We should stick to that books of the accounts and we should verify. So whatever cost अगर वो इसमें है spend किया, then we should not expand our scope unnecessarily. What in case of extension of project date? MahaRERA. I don't understand whether there are any form to be taken from allottees and professionals for extension. No, there is no such form. Can you share self-declaration format of CERSA in case there is no loan, since any format is not accepted? See, for CERSA, you don't have to upload any format. You just have to go to the CERSA website. You have to pay 11 rupees and you have to just insert the PAN and company name, and you will get a no details found record that needs to be uploaded. That's it. Multiple lenders, any light on having multiple designated account for the said project? See, if there is an escrow account, multiple bank accounts, then you need to verify. You need to mention those details, all the details, all the bank's account, but see to it that 70% is deposited and utilized for a separate utilized for land and project construction cost only. Already submitted Form 3 for December 21, signed in old format on 6 Jan. Submission is not important. Sign, yeah. If your signing the date is after the amendment, then new form needs to be obtained. Whether professional certificates can be digitally signed? Yes, very well. Under IT Act, you are allowed to sign digitally. No issues at all. When explanation 1 was replaced in 2019, they have also eliminated the TDR cost except for the same, but Form 3 asks for separate details. Which one to follow? You should stick to Form 3. I know in regulations, in rules, they have deleted it, but still forms part of the Form 3. You should stick to Form 3. It is a regulation also. So currently there are rules also not amended. They will sooner or later amend these rules. Form 3. Certificate containing subject clause certifying financial progress of work. In books of account, invoice is raised, but payment is not released to creditors. So how bank account would match with P&L? Why you need to match the bank account with P&L? P&L is a different thing. It works on accrual concept. So you give a withdrawal limit, and in the actual cost incurred, you have to take as per the actual cost incurred definition. Whether stamp duty, registration charges, payment made to SIDCO or KDMC are excluded from cost or not. So whatever charges is the cost of the developer, you can include it in the form. In Form 5, before it was mentioned this word statutory auditor, now it is. Difference is now annual auditor is a separate term, so he can be different from the Rera, from the statutory auditor of the company or tax auditor. कोई भी दूसरा specific Rera auditor हो सकता है. How do the allottees come to know that developer has deposited the amount received from the allottees in the bank account maintained for the purpose? Is there any way to verify? Also, the amount received is in the same bank account in which the loan from bank is credited. No, the bank account, yeah, allottee, see, bank account, you cannot verify unless you, because it is on the website only Rera designated bank account is mentioned. That's it. But allottees cannot verify unless they ask for the public inspection of the documents. Please guide about deletion of project from list of labs projects. Sorry, sir, this is not currently the topic, so please stick to the topic. In case if land is procured in 2003 and project is started 2021, ASR of 21 will be taken as per guideline. Then how will the actual cost incurred and as per Form 3 be matched? Yes, you need to see, he had hold the land till 2021. So it was his call. Now he is introduced that land for the project. So now whatever the ASR, as per the current date of ASR, he is blocking the land for that project. He is utilizing that land. He have a base. So as per that, as per current ASR, he is being allowed to withdraw his till the project completion. So as per ASR, whatever is the ASR value, he needs to incorporate that in the actual costing. If the builders and developers have not taken Form 3 and Form 5 for past years, then CA can issue these forms consolidated or year-wise. You can see it depends on the developer. It is not your call. He has not complied with that. So if he comes to you, you have to issue current date only, and you have to issue one single certificate. All the date certificates should be of the current date only, and you should mention the excess withdrawals date of issue. Say लिखे जो excess withdrawal in your certificates. With respect to increase in estimated cost purely due to increase in material cost, interest cost, do we have to intimate or take permission for changes in estimated, assuming receivables are enough to cover full estimated addition? He is left. If there are any requirement for amount received from allottees before 30th June 2017. Didn't understood your question. Can I unmute and speak? Rephrasing question, milestone rupees 5 lakh summation interest. Rupees 1 lakh bank pays rupees 4 lakh for the milestone. And interest is rupees 1 lakh, 70% deposited, rupees 2.8 lakh. So we can, you can very well contact me and we can analyze this, because right now I will take other questions. So this is a exactly I can understand your question, and you can very well contact me. How can we estimate customers' funds used for project as on date of registration? That is not your see estimate. You can consider based on the units. उसके पास units तो कितना बनाने वाला है, that is just estimate, and you don't have to estimate. You have to take it from the promoter. So it is not you are going to sit and calculate how much is the estimating. You should take it from engineer, architect, and promoter. What is the ASR value? You are giving the ASR value of unsold. As on date of registration, all the unsold units will be ASR value. So for the used, that these ASR value, you can very well contribute, consider it for the purpose of the estimated cost and the open market value also. To it is just a means of finance, so that needs to be obtained from the promoter, how he will complete the project. That's it. If the promoter developer is replaced, what about the access to the bank account and the amount lying in bank account operated by SY developer? Duties of CA and engineer. Do the new developer required to open a new account? He has been given an option to opt for a no lien FD if there is excess amount lying in the bank account of the developer. So if the duties of the CAC, you are only responsible for issuing the certificates. If you can very well verify from the bank account, then you can issue the certificate to that particular bank account only. But obviously, new promoter will open a new bank account, because bank account, there are signing operations. They need to get it changed. If they have changed the operations, then you can very well continue with the same bank account. As table C include the total received, however, table E talks about only amount received in designated bank statement. There will be difference for amount received before 30th June. Do we need to report the difference? Total received, however, table E talks about only amount received in designated bank account. I don't think so, because here also, if you will observe, total received till date and amount there also from the right from the opening of the bank account we need to mention. If you will observe the table E, they have written that it is from the opening of the bank account.
Aditya sir, I've been muted. I just need your permission to speak. Can I?
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
you can.
So first things first, thank you very much for this session. This was very enlightening and knowledgeable. So thanks a lot for this. So I have two quick questions to ask you. Question number one is, I am working on a JDA right now, a joint development agreement, wherein the understanding is that the landowner is supposed to be given, let's say, a 50 lakh rupees and 3 flats.
Yes.
Okay, now he is not going to sell out these flats. these flats are for his personal possession.
Okay.
So we are not considering this as an area sharing agreement. We are considering this as a revenue share.
Okay.
Now, Form 3 is very specific about what it wants. It wants land cost, it wants construction cost. Now, my
Yes.
question is, sir, when I'm giving him 50 lakh rupees, where in Form 3 can I disclose this amount? Because land cost is at ASR value, construction cost is something which is really specific, demand is specific, duty is specific. So, where can this amount be disclosed in Form 3?
See, in case of revenue sharing agreement, he becomes your partner. So that won't be allowed to be included as a cost for the project. Whatever you will be sharing with him, whatever amount that is the revenue you are sharing. So that becomes your he is a partner, he is a promoter. So only in case of area sharing there will be a different thing. We have to take two different certificates. But in case of revenue sharing, the cost, the 50 lakhs, you cannot take it as a cost or to be in the project, because he is also all the units will be included in that particular sales sold or unsold figures. So it will be a cumulative for the entire project total thing that needs to be dealt with separately. And whatever is the you can pay him from the 30% bank account, and that needs to be dealt with separately. But as a together as a cost, you will both will be considered as a promoter for and having a same certificate. So in that certificate he cannot use the personal thing, that whatever the arrangement or the agreement is being signed between the developers and the co-promoter. So that needs to be kept separately, and it cannot be allowed as a cost.
Got it, sir. So these three flats are always going to be lying in unsold flats. They're never going to be sold because it actually belongs to them.
Not for, you can give it not for sale in disclosure or allotted to landowner. That
Not
can
for
be
sale.
done because he will sell it. If he will sell it, then there might be it will be considered as sold. But if he's not selling, till that time it is allotted to landowner or not for sale. You can simply mention that.
Agree. Thank you, sir. And another question. We are saying all the time that the land cost, wherever it has to be mentioned, it has to be at the ASR value. Now, sir, what if the land cost incurred is actually more than the ASR values? That is the case in most of the scenarios. So,
Correct. But
how do we deal
MahaRERA
with that?
is clearly specified that in estimated cost, you have to mention the ASR value. And suppose it is 5 crores, ASR value is 5 crores, and actual cost incurred is 1 lakh, 2 lakh. So you have actual cost incurred against the ASR value can be considered as 1 lakh, 2 lakh till the time it reaches 5 crores. But it will be blocked at 5 crores. This is the position because land, he is using this land for the project. And if at the time of the project inception itself, I will allow him the entire cost. So that won't be serve the purpose, because the project will be completed in 5 years and he will recover the entire land cost. So that is not allowed. So he has been given 30%. That is a margin, separate thing given. So he can very well recover it from that.
Got it, sir. I'm just saying, let's say my ASR value is 1 CR and I've spent 2 crores for that land. Now I cannot disclose 2 crores in the CA certificate. I have to put in 1 crores only. So is that 1 crore not, I mean, that's something which the developer cannot even withdraw from the account because I've not disclosed in the certificate. That is what I wanted to ask you.
ASR value, you have to disclose it 1 crore. That is the ASR value as on date of registration of the project.
Got it,
That
sir.
will
Thank
form
you
part
very
of the actual cost.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. I'll put myself on mute so you can go with other questions. Thank you.
Borrowing from banks 100, but now repaid 30. Hence now total. See, whatever is drawn down till date is to be used. That is the funds which has been actually utilized. So whatever is the amount mentioned, it is drawn down till date. How much is withdrawn? So if it has been repaid, then only the amount which is used is 70. So you can use that and you can mention that amount in the form. What will be the impact of difference between ASR value and actual cost of land in the means of finance? So there is no impact what we it will be considered. See, he is introducing the land, but to complete the project, we need the own funds. It is talking about the construction part. So construction, how you will complete the project, what is your estimated cost, and in that cost you will consider that land as a cost. You can consider, अगर मैंने estimated cost को recover करना है तो मैंने ASR value consider किया, तो ASR value वहाँ आ जाएगा तुम्हारा land में. So it will automatically come your own funds. You are introducing your land to the project, so you have to recover the estimated cost. So how you will recover? Own funds, borrowed funds, and customer receipts. These are the three ways you can recover your estimated cost. In case of JDA, what will be the land cost? ASR value of landowner. Yes, in case of JDA, the land value, land depends on the, it doesn't depend on JDA, it is the ASR value of the land. So whatever is the ASR value of the land as on that date, जो area है, you can very well get it from the East Stamp Duty Ready Reckoner website, and you can very well calculate it based on the CTS number, survey number. You can very well get that figure from the developer and the architect also. So I think so all the questions are completed.
Thank you so much, Aditya Bhai, for the wonderful question answer session. I think one of the longest what I have seen also, and I think you have also shared, experience in the recent time. A very good interactive session. Would like to request Ramesh sir, if he's there, please come on screen so that we can have a phone. Also, Ramesh sir has appreciated your entire presentation. Sir was there for the full presentation as well. So, and it's appreciated by our participant as well. Many participants and has already appreciated in a question tag. Excellent session, Aditya ji, from Harsh Dedia, and many other participants. Nikita ji, thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful session once again. It's viewed by you on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on Twitter as well, on multiple forums. But the question answer session, what you have taken, the benefit is for all the live attendees here. So we are very happy that you have taken all the question, and there is no unanswered question, or a very limited unanswered question which is not of obviously out of the subject. So which is very rare in a webinar format. In a physical session, you can ask to the after the session, or like, but in a webinar, once webinar is over and everything is over. But interactive session is we always try at Connect Easy. So thank you so much, Aditya ji, for wonderful session. And there are many other comments for vote of thanks. In a question tab, even you can take a screenshot. It was a very helpful session, wonderful session. Thanks a lot. Good presentation and reply to question raised. Shripal ji, then Chetan ji, excellent session. Vijay Narwani ji, wonderful session. Lalit ji, excellent session. Prabhu sir, Aditya sir, thanks. So there are many comments coming up, and we can see Ramesh sir as well now. So, sir, would like to say something, sir. Ramesh sir, would you like to summarize, sir?
Thank you very much. I think Aditya has nicely deliberated all the forms and also handled the question answer very nicely. Thank you, Aditya, and thank you, Virag.
Ramesh sir is a guiding factor. He is always a mentor to me and kind to me. So he has also clarified. We had a good discussion, and I am lucky to get an opportunity to author a book under his guidance. It was indeed a great experience for me, because he has taken a wonderful lead, and to come out with a book of 1600 pages is not a joke, that too within a period of 3 to 4 months. So it hats off to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much, all. The book, what Aditya and sir is telling, it's appreciated by many, including our CA professional leader as well. So appreciation to both of you as well once again. Thank you so much, all the attendees, for making it a wonderful event, a very interactive and very successful event. Thank you so much. Keep coming on Connectivity. Thank you.
Thank you.